Hey guys, it's Lindsay. We are going to do the water sign reading for January 2026. I already did the other elements, so if you have any interest, if you're a cross watcher for any of the other signs, please check those out. As always, if any of these messages don't align for you, please take only what you need and leave the rest. This is a group reading, so not every message is going to be for you, and you will know if it is for you. Trust your intuition, guys. Okay, let's get into it. We're going to start with water signs and check in. Spirit, what messages do we have for our water signs in January 2020? Okay, there's something for quite a few of you around home, but specifically around family. You see these two siblings reaching across the house to each other and handing things. So for quite a few of you, it's almost like either reconnecting with siblings, cousins. It's kind of like peer level in the family. It's not like, you know, grandparents, parents, things like that. It's more like siblings and cousins. That reconnection. So you may be going to events in January to reconnect with those parts of the family. You may be reaching out and having conversations with those parts of the family if you haven't seen them in a while. I also see you trading stories, so it's like there's a lot of reminiscing going on, and there's also this, so some of you may actually be receiving an item from your cousins, so like a family heirloom, or something from your it definitely looks like family heirloom to me. So I feel like, you know, that's definitely a confirmation for anyone if you end up receiving a family heirloom. Something small, it doesn't seem like something overly large, but it seems like you are giving a family heirloom to somebody. But it seems like there's something very important about this item, either giving or receiving this item, water signs. So if you end up having a familial connection in January, let me know in the comments. And this is going to make you feel kind of like really fulfilled. I feel like for quite a bit of 2025, water signs, you've been feeling like a little left out or a little bit like disconnected, especially from family members that you miss and things like that. So you're going to be able to reignite that connection. We're going to start with Pisces. Pisces, we have the Justice cards, balance. So there are things happening in your life, Pisces, that you are finally coming to terms with, but also balancing. Okay, so not only coming to terms in the form of emotionally coming to terms, but it's also being helped along because there is actually world balancing, so external balancing happening for these events. Okay, so you've had to rely on your strength quite a bit in 2025 and kind of like pushing yourself through unexpected events, I think. And so now that you're coming to that balanced place, I also see, like, because you have the Justice card, there's also dividends, like external dividends. So you may be getting a settlement if you had any type of court case or anything like that, or anything with the courts. You may be receiving some type of settlement, and that's your signal that whatever has transpired is kind of closing off. Okay, so you have the Ten of Wands. The Ten of Wands is, it can be a fulfillment card, but it also can signal similar to, like the World card. It's the end of the suit, right? So you've managed to climb your way out of all the fire and the flame and things like that, Pisces. So now you're kind of closing out that cycle and taking what you learned from it. You may also be getting, so when we were talking about, like in the beginning, the general reading, heirloom passing between family members, there's also something around settlement around houses. So if you had a family member specifically pass in January, February, you may be finally seeing the settlement around the house or the land or the trust or the property. It finally comes to fruition for you, which may be part of that settlement that we were talking about. So you're getting a cushion of monetary funds or a physical cushion of funds coming in January, specifically around family settlements or family dividends is what I'm seeing. Okay, Anything else for Pisces spirit in January? Pisces spirit. I'm seeing the color blue, which would make sense. It's associated with you, right? The fish sign. But I'm seeing the color blue with being cold. So I'm seeing like the body is very cold. The body hasn't been moving. The body is very cold, so like cold in the hands and the feet. So the recommendation is really layering up if you are the type of person who is always cold in the hands and the feet, because I see, especially in January, you're more prone to illness and sickness, and so your illness and sickness are the same thing. It's okay. Illness and you really need to keep your body very warm. Drinking a lot of hot teas is what I'm seeing, and not just hot teas, but like spicy teas, so like a ginger tea to get the blood moving. You really need to be walking and or getting yourself up in the morning and doing some type of light movement to get the blood moving, and like a gentle massage. I'm also seeing those, if you've ever seen a shower brush or like a dry brush, if you've never used dry brush, you can kind of like check that out and see if that works for you, because the blood movement is very important for you. That stagnation is really not helping your system, Pisces, and you need to keep it. What I'm literally seeing is frozen water, like fish under frozen water, and that's you. So you kind of need to force yourself into some active movements, and especially movement throughout the day. So if you're sitting at a desk or you have periods where you're not moving for an extended period of time, I really need you to like get up and do some movement, you know, like shake your body out and get going. There's also something around breath, Pisces. So if you are having difficulty breathing, it's because you're not expanding your lung capacity, okay? So that's part of that, exercising that kind of deepening of the lung capacity, and that's going to help you breathe easier, okay? It's you need to work on the physical aspect to deepen the lung capacity, because you're not going to really kind of, I'm hearing asthma specifically. So if you have asthma, you really need to kind of like get yourself into a movement to get yourself, the lungs to open up, okay? There's also a certain level of inflammation that I'm seeing, okay? And the inflammation is specific to dust in the home. Like if it's winter time where you are, dust and everything is closed up. So I would also recommend getting like a very good quality like HEPA filter or air filter and having them in the main home areas, especially in your bedroom, is going to be important, because a lot of that breathing issue has to do with large amounts of dust and the air not flowing through the home, okay? Anything else for Pisces? There's also something, you seem to be having a lot of like health things going on. There's also something with moles, what I'm seeing specifically on the chest. So this is going to be for someone in particular. But there are dark moles on the chest and or like the top of the arms that you're going to have to get checked out. They've either newly appeared or they've changed shape, and that's going to be something that you want to get checked out very quickly and not leave it to chance, okay? Especially if you are kind of getting older, you want to really keep an eye on those moles. I'm seeing it looks red to red brown, these moles, and they've changed shape or they've appeared quickly out of nowhere. So make sure you get that checked. I'm also seeing something to do with something on the lip, Pisces. So it's almost like a sore on the lip or a dry patch on the lip. So that's also something you might want to get checked out and make sure you're keeping, you're hydrating first. We talked about the ginger tea and like the very warm liquids and things like that, but also make sure that you are, chapstick, because when you're cold and often cold has to do with, cold and dry and constitution can often go hand in hand, quite frankly. So if your body is cold, it also may be dry. So it's important to keep moving, keep well hydrated, and keep the body moisturized, because the skin is your first barrier of protection, right? So we have the Four of Coins, Pisces. We have Coins is like being very protective of the money. You see she's kind of hiding the money quite literally from the vulture. So I feel this attachment to the money right now where you're being very protective around your money. And I want you to kind of work on loosening that, pattern around money, that thinking around money, because this kind of holding on to the money thing, it's kind of keeping you from earning, you know, what you should be earning. And it also, it's an old pattern for you that I think is showing up in January in this early year to start kind of breaking down that patterning around holding on tightly to your money, because I almost don't think it's your patterning. It almost feels like a parental patterning, specifically a mother is what I'm seeing, like a mother keeping things like in a checkbook, but also keeping things in a checkbook, like keep being very precise, because she had a partner and or husband who was who basically was aggressive towards her and like keeping the money, like, I want to see exactly how much you spend, right? So that is something that's coming through in January 2026 for you, is kind of letting go of that patterning, because it's really not even yours. It's something that you've taken on from your parent. Okay, so this is Pisces for January 2026, and our next water sign is going to be Cancer. So Cancer is Six of Swords. There's something, Cancer, around lineage. We're talking a lot about your family here. We're talking about heirlooms in the general reading, Cancer. Okay, and this is really about your let's see. I'm seeing like female lineage, so daughter lines, things like that. So I think that's going to be something that's showing up for a couple of you, Cancer, is the female lineage, the daughter line, specifically teaching your daughter, if you are a woman, teaching your daughter skills that you already know. So these are going to be very specific skills that, you know, she may be interested in learning. I'm seeing like cooking is one of them, but also cooking with herbs and things like that, and preserving and stuff. And part of it is that she wants to learn, and it may not, for some of you, it may not even be like the daughter line, it may just be your child. But they want to learn. And the other part of that is, so you have the Death card, Cancer, and the other part of that is really about, it's really about you wanting to pass things down, right? So you're becoming hyper aware of your age, Cancer, okay? And like that you are getting older and like sharing your gifts. The other thing that I'm seeing for you, Cancer, is really important, is that you start recording yourself talking. So like memories, things that you remember from older family members, events in the family, anything that would be pertaining to your family that you may be like the last to know, or like one of the last to remember, like, you know, talking about certain family members and their characters, or talking about events that happened in the family, things like that. So recording yourself talking about these things is going to be important for you, and passing it on, and or like writing things down in a family journal is what I'm seeing. So that may be part of the heirloom that I'm seeing. And you really want to start, so you have the King of Swords, kind of executing that, not just passing down the physical, you know, learning as far as cooking or whatever the physical learning is, physical skills and knowledge, but actually physically passing down a book of memories, family heirloom book, and or with like video, and you speaking about memories and stuff, okay? Because I feel like your ancestor presence is coming in very heavy in January, Cancer, and it kind of wants to be acknowledged, and it wants to be acknowledged through you if you are part of like the elder lineage now, okay? And elder can be like, it doesn't have to be like elder, it can be someone who is like over 30. Like if you have memories of your family and you start writing them down and kind of keeping track of them and keeping recordings of it, I think it's very important for you and the focus of your January, Cancer, okay? Who do we have? We have Scorpio. Scorpio. Queen of Swords. So Queen of Swords has to do with the mind, Scorpio. And for you, we're talking about family heirlooms in this reading. That's way too many cards. For you guys talking about family heirlooms, I think you're actually dealing with emotional family heirlooms. So things that were passed down emotionally, mentally, things like that. So that can specifically be like mental disorders and things like that. And you are actually becoming the breaker of the patterns, the breaker of the chains. And I think you kind of recognize that, Scorpio, in your own life, that you are the breaker of these familial illnesses, really. And so I want you to kind of congratulate yourself on that and working through that for yourself, and also working through it for your lineage, okay? And I would just, January, February, it does feel a little bit tough for the mental aspect, so please keep doing what you're doing that keeps you healthy, that keeps you well, mentally and emotionally, and that does include if you take any medication, you know, anything that keeps you on track is what I see. Keep doing it and do it every day, but like, don't make it into this big thing. Just do the small things, right? Because if I also see this act of like overwhelming, so if you make it a big thing, it becomes very overwhelming, and then you don't end up doing it, and it becomes like a bigger thing. Okay, so really one step at a time. You have the Knight of Cups, so that's emotions, one step at a time. Like, he's going forward, he's moving forward, but he's moving forward with like knowing where each step is, right? So for that emotional lineage that we were talking about, your movement forward is slow and steady, is what I'm seeing, because I feel like a lot of whatever that lineage is erratic, okay? And like it's almost giving like a manic type energy, erratic, like high energy, and then like events happen, things happen, but you also, you know, cause events, or not you in particular, but like events are caused, and it becomes a very it can spiral really quickly. So the slow and steady energy is going to be the most resonant energy for you in January 2026 in regards to that emotional lineage that you're moving through. And, you know, good job on that, because if you are the one who is working through that's very difficult task, and it takes someone of a particularly strong spirit to be able to do that. Okay, anything else? And I'm hearing specifically for some of you, you may be dealing with like a bipolar type disorder, which I'm not a doctor, but like that's what's coming through. Yes, we were talking about one step at a time. Temperance. There's also something, Scorpio, with you. I'm seeing float tanks. Okay, if you know what a float tank is, it's going into water, but it's almost like a spa-like atmosphere. They have them in different places, but if you don't have, you know, availability to float tank, if you have a tub, you can kind of do the same thing where if you put your ears under the water, it helps you to be in like silence, and it helps your nervous system to come down, just to be in water for like, you know, 20 minutes, half an hour, things like that, and not have to hear noise. I'm also hearing specifically for you, Scorpio, if you have like noise canceling headphones or noise canceling earbuds or anything like that. I use the loop ones, which are really great. They're like tiny and they just go in your ear, and it's for people who have like auditory sensitivity. And so I feel like that will be really helpful to your nervous system and kind of getting you through the day, because you're not taking in as so much auditory sensation, Scorpio. Okay, so we have the Four of Wands. This is interesting because we have the Four of Wands, and they're clearly married, and that there's something coming in around it's not you being married, it's your parents being married, or your parents having some sort of marriage-like contract or marriage-like relationship, even if they never like signed it. There's something with the father, and I'm seeing specifically a father who was maybe like growing up or born in the 70s. I'm seeing, like, because we were talking about, we see the mustache here. You see that mustache? Something with the father being born in the 70s, Scorpio. I'm seeing like the 1970s type pictures. So I think if that is you, if you have a father who was born in the 70s and or lived through the 70s, this is confirmation for you. And it's also for somebody very specific. We were talking about receiving family heirlooms. You finding and or receiving a picture of your parents being married in the 70s, okay, and or being together in the 70s. Someone gives it to you and or you find it, okay? And it's kind of like if it was a happy relationship for them, you know, putting it somewhere where you can see it. And if it wasn't, just kind of honoring what that was and you know, doing what feels right for you in that relationship. I'm also seeing 3 coins, so as 3 generations. So this may come through Scorpio as 3 generations of healing, being healed through you. I'm seeing like mother, father, and you. So that may be the order, like grandmother, father, and you. That's a very specific order. And I'm also getting someone who may have been from Latin America. So again, specific confirmation. And guys, if I ever say anything that like really, you know, is specific to you and confirmation, I do love to hear it because it's helpful for me to receive that information. Like, oh yeah, you were on point about this, thank you. So please just comment that if I was on point about something very specific for you. Comment anyways, I do love to receive the feedback. Okay, any last information for Scorpio in January 2026? Any last information for Scorpio? There's something around you going to a beach, Scorpio. The moon and going to the beach, so that's usually feminine energy. And this is weird, but you see the beads on his hat right here? So what I'm seeing is somebody who has either beads or something hanging from their rear view mirror, and what I'm hearing is take them off. Take off the beads, because what the beads are doing is when light hits them, they're sending refracted light, and you're not going to be able to see while you're driving, okay? And that there's something Spirit is saying, take them off, because you shouldn't have them on there, and it's going to give you an issue while driving. So if you have beads on like your rear view mirror, specifically what I'm seeing are those rainbow crystals, okay, that sometimes people hang from their mirror. Spirit is saying, please just take them off. Put them somewhere else where it's not refracting while you're operating a vehicle. Okay, that's a very specific message. As always, you know, please, any feedback, I welcome. My name is Lindsey Rose. This is Storyteller Tarot. If you would like your own reading, please check out the links. Otherwise, I wish you guys well.